Good evening and many thanks for joining us. I am Ansman Esonyasi and this is QTV News coming to you live from our studios on Kairaba Avenue. Here are the main news headlines. The Ministry of Health, through its expanded program on immunization and the National Nutrition Agency and partners, today began a 6-day nationwide vaccination for measles and rubella. The Gambia's oral history has been preserved and is set to go digital after 5,000 audio tapes and nearly 2,000 transcribed files have been digitized and will be available on a website from next month. And patriarchy has led to women being less likely to pursue their education to doctorate level or become a professor. Dr. Satang Nabane is among those women pushing to change that narrative. And in international news, the 27 civilians killed in the August deadly clash in Sierra Leone between security forces and protesters were given a state-led funeral on Monday. And in sports news, Gambian international Hassan Ceesay scored his third goal of the season for Lecce in Italy's Serie A as they drew with Fiorentina on Monday. Well, stay tuned as we bring you more on these and other stories. Well, those were our main headlines. Now we take a look at the news in detail. But first, we've been getting a lot of reports on attempted robberies and in some cases robberies. Around the Dalaba estate, even within the estate as well. Well, luckily, the police have made a major breakthrough after they rounded up several suspects. But we now have the police PRO SP Bintanjai on the line to give us an account of what actually transpired. PRO, could you take us through what actually happened?
Hi, good evening, Esso. What happened was this morning around 10 o'clock, the Bravo team of the Police Intervention Unit went to Dalaba Estate during a raid within KMC and some part of West Coast region. So they were able to get into a compound based on suspicion and arrested 9 young men and a lady, 9 of whom are Nigerian nationals, and the female is a Gambian. They're between the ages of 18 to 30. So major recoveries were made: laptops, cutlasses, mobile phones, and other valuables, clothing and shoes. So as we speak, the driver that they usually hire during their operations is arrested.
Do we have any idea, what the age bracket of these suspects are?
Yeah, between 18 to 30. Between
18 to 30. I know investigations are still ongoing. But anything else you would want to share with us regarding this breakthrough that the police have made?
Yeah, I think the major thing would be public cooperation, because we were able to arrest the driver that is usually hired during these operations as a result of information from the residents of Dalaba. So public cooperation is highly needed in this kind of activities so that we make our environment safe. But the public will be duly informed as investigation progresses.
All right, thank you very much, PRO. We appreciate your time, and to our audience, an extensive report on this major breakthrough by the police would be brought to you in our tomorrow's edition. Now, the Ministry of Health, through its expanded program on immunization and the National Nutrition Agency, with support from partners, began a nationwide vaccination on Tuesday for measles and rubella. The program will end on the 23rd of October 2022. William Kamra attended the event and filed this report.
According to health authorities, the campaign comes because of the current measles outbreak in the country, which is affecting many children. Officials say there have been confirmed laboratory cases, most of whom are children under the age of 5. Aja Kande, the communications officer with the expanded program on immunization, EPI, highlighted some of the causes, signs and symptoms of the disease.
It is characterized by fever, malaise, cough, coryza, and conjunctivitis. We all know fever. Malaise is joint pains or body ache. Cough, coryza means running nose, and conjunctivitis means infection of the eye. Followed by a macropoplar rashes, meaning the skin will have some rashes, and that is called the macropoplar rashes. The rashes usually appears 14 days after exposure and spreads from head to trunk to lower extremities.
Mbaye Njai, the Deputy Program Manager with the expanded program on immunization, gave a rundown of the immunization program.
It's an integrated vaccination campaign whereby we are giving measles vaccine, rubella vaccine together with measles, and also vitamin A and deworming. In addition to that, also we will also have routine immunization vaccines being given to children that are definitely defaulted for the past years, because you know that like the COVID pandemic has definitely affected our immunization coverage. We have seen about 5% drop in our coverage when compared to 2019.
Modu Njai, the Director of Health Promotion at the Ministry of Health, stated that the ministry is targeting to vaccinate children from 9 to 59 months for measles and rubella and give vitamin A supplements to children aged from 12 to 59 months old nationwide. Njai advises parents and caregivers regarding the vaccines.
Currently, there is a video in circulation. Talking about discouraging people not to get vaccinated. We want to tell the population in this country, and even those people who are living in this country, the Gambia government have the children are very important to the government of the Gambia and as well as the Minister of Health. So we want to assure the entire population that the vaccine we are giving, it is very safe and effective, and it's also to protect them against measles and as well as rubella, and also protect them also against vitamin A deficiency.
The Ministry of Health has deployed public health officials to all parts of the country to administer the shots. Places of target include bantabas, community centers, schools, ferry crossing points, markets, and strategic locations where children can be accessible. The target is to immunize about 341,446 children across the country. Even though it is a trying time for many parents recovering from the acute deaths of 66 children, health officials are optimistic that they will meet the target because the measles, rubella, and the vitamin A supplements are safe and prevent children from getting the disease. For QTV News, Lolly M. Kamara.
Now, the Gambia's oral history has been preserved and is set to go digital. This comes after 5,000 audio tapes and nearly 2,000 transcribed files have been digitized and will be available on a website from next month. The 5-year project ends with an international symposium featuring dozens of historians and academic scholars from universities in Africa, Europe, and America. Momolami Choi reports.
Oral tradition is described as the very first kind of history, and for many countries in West Africa, this was the means of preserving history, especially during pre-colonial times. In the Senegambia region, griots were the custodian of this source of history, until recently when they shifted to entertainment. This poses a threat to the oral tradition and has inspired the need for digitization of oral archives in some countries, including the Gambia. Hazem Cisse is the Director General of the National Center for Arts and Culture.
5,000 cassettes, audio tapes have been digitized, and also close to 2,000 files, containing the transcripts and the translations and the transliterations of some of these digital files. And much of these documents were collected as far back as the early 1940s.
The digitized material at the NCAC Oral Archives at Fajara include a collection of audio recordings of interviews with elders from the Gambia, the Casamance region of Senegal, and Guinea-Bissau, the majority of which were collected during the 1960s, 1970s, and 1980s. Many of the collections were made by Dr. Bakari Keba Sidibe, who is honored at this symposium for his exemplary contributions to the NCAC's Oral Archives. Hamad Nkeba is the Gambia's Tourism and Culture Minister.
The online access, I am told, will be a paid basis, which means that NCAC can generate more revenue from access to the archives researchers. It will only be given if a formal research permission is paid. Digitalization will enhance visibility and access of the archives. It will also improve conservation, as now we have dependable backup copies of the material, which is a critical aspect.
Digitizing the Gambia's oral archives helps in the conservation and accessibility of Gambia's oral tradition. This can attract more interest in academic research and knowledge on the history of the Gambia. Professor Hassan Sarr is a US-based Gambian lecturer at Ohio University.
The only way that we can make sure that our work is reputable and of quality is to make sure that we have the records. And if those records are threatened because of lack of preservation, I think that will be catastrophic for scholars.
The successful completion of the digitization project of our oral archives ends with an international symposium on oral history under the theme Gambian History Goes Digital. The German Gerda Henkel Foundation supported the project. Dr. Catherine Pfeffer is from the University of Hamburg and the project's quality assurance coordinator.
It is left to us to keep this spirit alive by preserving and augmenting the rich heritage of the NCAC.
As part of Gambia's History Goes Digital, interest of the young generation in history is of high significance. Speaking at the event, Ade Derame, head of QTV News, praised and described the successful project as a dream come true and tasked the NCAC to target the young people in schools to develop their interest in history at an early age. Mahmoud Lamin Choi, QTV News.
Now, patriarchy has led to women less likely to pursue their education to doctorate level or even become a professor. Dr. Satang Nabane is among those women pushing to change that narrative. Jennifer Sonko had a chat with her and Sina reports.
Dr. Satang Nabane is a social-legal scholar, researcher, consultant, and human rights advocate with expertise in human rights, comparative constitutional law, and democratization. She received her Doctor of Laws from the University of Pretoria in South Africa. She holds a Master of Laws in Human Rights and Democratization in Africa from the University of Pretoria and a Bachelor's of Law from the University of the Gambia. Dr. Nabane is the first University of the Gambia alumna to have a doctorate degree in law. So, what pushed Dr. Nabane for academic excellence despite being married and raising a child?
What I saw with education and my exposure as a child activist was that you also get a lot of education outside the four corners of the classroom. So whilst obviously, books are important, that exposure that you engage with people at a very young age, which I did, obviously, as you know, I was engaged with a lot of organizations, including the Voice of the Young, Lend a Hand, as well as other organizations. So that sort of built up the character for me in terms of just being persistent with regard to my education. I am also not from a rich family. I mean, I'm from a family that value education.
Dr. Nabane added that women can be married, be a mother, and a scholar at the same time. Considering that, Dr. Nabane acquired all her degrees from Africa and has international recognition for the work she does, that is evidence that education in Africa is progressing.
My LLB at the Faculty of Law at the University of the Gambia, and I am the first alum of the university with a PhD in law, which is an achievement, and especially as a woman, I think it's a great achievement in terms of just being able to also not only value that in the sense that I am a woman achieving that, but also that a very young university with very limited resources could also produce somebody that could compete in any international or regional universities.
Dr. Nabane is the co-founder of Think Young Women, a women-led organization focused on advocating for the rights of women and girls. She also founded the Gambia Law Hub, which is a legal resource and knowledge platform. These are all efforts to give back to the Gambian community, she says.
The idea was, as I said, creating that platform, which we did, and which has been used very much by a variety of stakeholders, which is really great. And I think then the second bit that we also, have an impact in, especially is in terms of encouraging scholarly work.
Dr. Satang Nabane co-authored and edited the book, The Gambia in Transition Towards a New Constitutional Order. The book provides evidence-based local realities and lessons from experience to support and strengthen the rule of law and access to justice.
Part of this was really in terms of what can we contribute towards the very ambitious, obviously, transitional justice processes that we had, including specifically the constitutional review process and the roadmap to a new constitution.
Dr. Nabane has proven that one can be outstanding throughout one's life. Even as a child, she won the Child of the Year 2003 Child Friendly Award by the Observer newspaper, Girl Child of the Year 2002 Children in Development Award by Play School The Gambia, and represented the Gambia at Children's Parliament in the World 2002. Reporting for QTV News, I am Jenna Bosonko.
I have to say Gambia is proud of you, Dr. Nabane. And from the report there by my colleague Jen Basanko on Dr. Nabane's inspirational journey, well, we go for a commercial break, but we'll be right back.
Wait, LG, thank you. Yup. Thanks to LG ThinQ, I can operate and get cycle updates from my AIDD front-load washing machine without even stepping foot in the laundry room. I can be busy with rehearsals on a conference call and still do my laundry, or watching series glued to my couch and too lazy to get up. My life made easy with LG ThinQ.
Have you heard about Platinum Properties?
No. What's that?
Well, Platinum Properties is a real estate agency located at Sukuta traffic lights on the Turntable Highway, selling the best located lands with amazing deals. From our Sifo Gunjur housing to Sanyang housing to Tujarang Faces and many other perfect locations, as well as individual plots suitable for you. Get away from the noisy and crowded streets and buy your dream home with us in these beautiful and peaceful locations. We have many dimensions available for you, from 21 by 25 to 21 by 20, 19 by 19 to 25 by 25, and many other different dimensions to suit your needs. With flexible payment plans, whether it is a mortgage payment or not, we've got you covered.
Oh, wow. Thank you. I'll visit them.
Reach now to Platinum Properties to get the best deal. For more information, call us on 397-1669 or 760-5414. Platinum Properties, your best choice for your dream home.
Bank from here and there and here too. Here and even here. Introducing the Bloom Digital Suite from Bloom Bank Africa. Web and mobile banking that allows you to bank on the go at your convenience and on your own terms. Check and transfer funds, pay NAWIC bills, buy cash power, buy mobile credit, and so much more. For more information, visit www.bloombankafrica.com or pass by any of our branches nationwide. Download from the Apple Store and the Google Play Store. Bloom Digital Web and Mobile Banking on the go from Bloom Bank Africa.
Welcome back. Be reminded you're following QTV News and we're broadcasting live from our studios on Kairaba Avenue. Now, residents of Batinjol, a village in the Central River region, are lamenting the lack of electricity and water supply in the community for many years. This is despite electricity poles being installed by the Jame government over 5 years ago. William Kamara has more details.
These residents have been without electricity for over 5 years after they were told everything was in place for them to get connected. According to residents, the cables connected to the poles are getting loosed, having been there for more than 5 years. Omar Sise, the Alcalo of Bati, emphasized that his community has never voted against a ruling government. Despite that, from the first regime to date, the community has never benefited from social amenities like electricity and water.
We
believe that when President Adama Barrow won, things will change for us. Here we are without a hospital, electricity, an ambulance, and water supply. We have nothing here.
Muhammad Ja, a youth representative in Batinjol, revealed that it was in 2016 that Gambia's former president, Yahya Jammeh, brought them hope of having electricity in their community, but that hope seems far away.
2016 ba legi wala 2015 ba legi poli lamp yi ñu ngi Batinjol.
It was in 2016 that Yahya Jammeh provided these electric poles. But up to date, there has been no electricity. At the time, we were really excited about the initiative. But 5 years down the line, no electricity and water supply, which is really disappointing. So we are calling on the Barrow government to continue from where the former president left it 5 years ago. The president knew that we youth supported his agenda during his campaign and we have voted for him massively. So we want him to help us to fix our problems.
Aminata Sise, also a resident of the village, said they have to go as far as Mahmoud Fana to fetch water, and that has been going on for many years, which has been very difficult for them as the distance is far, considering their age. Poles with electric cables have been lying here for many years now, but we don't know when we will see the real light and have clean drinking water in our community. It has been like this since 2016, and it seems the government has forgotten about us. So, I am calling on the government to do something about this issue of water and electricity. Isaka Sise, a resident, spoke on behalf of Bati and Mahmoud Fana.
This community has more than 500 compounds with thousands of residents, but not a single source of water is available here. It is the same with a health facility. We thought President Barrow was going to change things for us, but we were wrong. As you can see, and thanks to our touchlights, we are able to see in the dark.
Electricity and water are needed in every aspect of life, from household chores to many things we do daily. And there cannot be any meaningful development without electricity and water. And to this community, hopes their nightmare of being without these two essentials come to an end soon. For QTV News, Loli M. Kamara.
And from the report there by Loliam Kamara, we take a look at international news in a moment. Now, 27 civilians killed in the August deadly clashes in Sierra Leone between security forces and those protesting the soaring cost of living were given a state-led funeral on Monday in the capital city of Freetown. The funeral has engendered mixed feelings among victims' families. Ajibintu Drame has more.
A ceremony was held at the Connaught Hospital mortuary and the bodies buried at the Bolima Cemetery in Waterloo outside of Freetown. On August 10, Sierra Leone was rocked by deadly violence as hundreds took to the streets in frustration at the cost of living. The protests erupted in several parts of the capital, leading to the deaths of 6 police officers and over 21 civilians. In its wake, many people called for President Bio's resignation. Footage of gruesome images were shared on social media as events unfolded. Government officials say they stand in solidarity with the mourning families. Among them, Mohamed Rahman Soare, the Minister of Information and Communications. He said the state had struck a deal with the families in which it would lead the ceremony for national security reasons. Soare said 9 bodies had still not been identified. Public announcements were made across the country for families to come forward to identify victims' bodies, some of whom were initially scared to do so. The families have allegedly refused the 20,000 leones, which is about $1,200, the government offered to each family to help with funeral rites. Civilians were killed in the cities of Makeni in the northern province and Kamakwie in the northwestern province, as well as in the east end of Freetown. Families had initially feared the dead would be buried in mass graves, but the government said in a statement on Sunday that, on the instructions of the president, each body would be buried in its individual grave. This is a sad day and a loss to our nation, Internal Affairs Minister David Panda Noah told mourners following Muslim and Christian prayers at the mortuary. On August 24, 6 police officers killed in the riots were buried in a state funeral attended by President Bio. Despite assurances by the government, these latest burials have been condemned by some, as families have told the media that even after identifying the remains of family members, they were not given the bodies to make their own burial arrangements. Sierra Leone's former Attorney General, Joseph Fitzgerald Kamara, is one of those who took to Twitter to condemn the burials. For QTV News, I am Ade Darami.
And my apologies there, the story was actually narrated by Ade Drame and not Ajibintu Drame as announced. Now also in international news, Somalia is experiencing the most devastating drought in decades, with 1 million people now registered as displaced within the country and seeking refuge in camps near Al-Shabaab controlled territory. Alusisia reports.
According to displacement figures jointly released by the United Nations High Commission for Refugees and Norwegian Refugee Council, more than 755,000 people living in Somalia have been internally displaced as a result of the drought this year, therefore bringing the total figure to 1 million people since January 2021. Drought is caused by the lack of or a very low rainfall coupled with high temperatures. The impact of the drought is forcing many people to abandon their communities due to the lack of water and food. There is a call for an urgent global intervention before it is too late. Somalia is experiencing the worst drought for the first time in over 3 decades, which is exacerbated by the effects of climate change and rising food prices. African countries, including Chad, Kenya, and Ethiopia, have equally experienced the impact of climate change, which, if not addressed, pose a serious future threat to human existence. In June, the UN Refugee Agency announced it needs $9.5 million for the affected displaced people. It is forecast that 40% of the country's 16 million people will face acute hunger by December this year. The situation is worsened by the instability in the country, where Al-Qaeda-linked Al-Shabaab groups continue to hold ground, thereby blocking humanitarian work. The last time famine was declared in Somalia in 2011, more than 250,000 people were reported to have died for lack of nutrition, half of them under the age of 5. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliou Cisse.
I'm afraid this is where we draw the curtains on this edition of the news, but do join us at 10 p.m. for another bulletin. Until then, thanks for watching.